Hi, my name is Emily Waters, and this is my literacy skill Padlet. So the objective of this lesson is to teach the literacy skill of showing students why it is important to evaluate sources for quality and making sure they're credible. It'll teach students different types of information resources they can use, such as scholarly or popular articles, and then primary or secondary resources, and talking about which type of resource should be used. It will also show students how to determine if a source is relevant and credible, specifically using the CRAAP CRAP test. So why is this lesson important? Well, as students write and present information, they need to know that their writing and research is only as credible as their sources. The first thing that pops up on the Almighty Google when they research will not always work. A lot of times students already know they need to watch out for fake news and not to use Wikipedia, but they don't really know the why, and they really need to know how to determine if a source is worth using, not just knowing which ones not to use. They need to know how to choose one that is credible and worth using. My discussion question, as you can see, which is posted on my Padlet, the topic again is critically choosing sources, grade 11, around the 11th grade. You could also probably move it down for 10th or 9th grade. The discussion question that the kids will be answering by the end is, how do you know an information source is of quality and worth using for your specific assignment or for your specific need? It comes from the AASL Learning Standard A43, which is learners use valid information and reasoned conclusions to make ethical decisions in the creation of knowledge, specifically by making critical choices about the information sources used. So here are the online resources I've curated to help students in teaching this lesson. First is a video explaining why evaluating sources is important. So again, a lot of times students know they need to have credible resources, but they don't really know why. So this video is an overview of that. The next set of resources in yellow go over different types of sources that students will find. So they'll find scholarly versus popular resources, so that will help them determine the difference between the two and seeing that a scholarly resource is going to be better for scholarly work. There is a pictochart that also goes along with that, and a sources chart from the LibGuides of a college that they can use to determine and look for specific criteria to determine if a source is scholarly. Next, there's also information over choosing primary versus secondary resources, the difference between the two, and knowing when to use which. There's a video clearly explaining the difference between primary and secondary resources in a variety of subjects. And then there is also a infographic poster to help them see all in one place examples of first-hand or primary sources and secondary sources and examples of those. The next infographic is a really good one for them to walk through once they've picked a source to use, then also making sure that the source is relevant to what they're doing. So they might find a really good scholarly primary resource or secondary resource and it not actually end up fitting what they need for a specific assignment. So this will have them walk through 5 steps to determine if the source is even worth using for their specific goal or purpose of writing or presenting research. Then we get to the blue section, which is once we've found a source that's relevant to us, we need to make sure it is reliable and it is credible, it is of quality. The first 2 videos are showing students in general how they can check the purpose of an article, and then also overall what to look at to check and see if an article is reliable. Then we get to the purple section, which is very specific on testing the reliability or credibility of a source using the CRAAP CRAP, or another arrangement they might see as PRCA test to evaluate resources. There is a video that clearly goes over each individual part of the CRAAP test. There's also a very clear poster of is it CRAP to see if they know if it is CRAP, CRAAP that's actually worth using, not crap, not worth using. And on this, they can see questions to ask to see if the currency, the relevancy, the authority, accuracy, and purpose of the article, the source, checks out for them. Not just articles, but also videos, images, research information, data, statistics, things like that. So they can use this poster to ask those questions as they go along. It is also a pictochart. And then lastly, I have a couple of online digital forms with questions relating to each section of the CRAP test, also arranged in the PARCA form, and they can go through the questions in each section and then have a final tallied score to see if that source passes the CRAP test or not, to know if it's something worth using, if it is of quality for their research. Lastly, I want to explain how they will use this skill in real life. So first and foremost, obviously, students will use the skill of curating quality and worth using resources in their scholarly writing for school and research, not only in high school, but specifically more so in college. So the standard for that is going to be higher. But also, more importantly, in real life, they need to have research-based practices. No matter what job they have, whether they are an educator, a doctor, an engineer, anything like that, they need to have research-based practices. They need to have a reason and choice for the things they do in their practice. So do they want to have that the choice that they make as a doctor to be backed in because Google said to do it, or because they can point to a scholarly, credible source of information that backs their decisions on what they're doing, so they can make sure they're using credible resources to drive the decisions they make in their careers in the future. So that is my Padlet going over the literacy skill of curating credible quality sources. Thank you.